At this point, the plumber can attach his 2-inch drain. Come on down here and you can see that. Again with a, I think it's a 5/16 what do you call it? Nut driver. You can tighten that up, then this can go to your drain line. You always need to have at least a 1/4 inch for every foot drop in a drain. So as you come out and come down the wall or come into the floor, you have to make sure you're always heading downhill, and it needs to be, for code, 1/4 inch per every foot. Okay, that's in place. Plumbing's hooked up. While we're down here, what we'll do is I'm going to take the extra hose that I had from the hand sprayer and make sure that it comes up and is, if you can see right up under here, there's a little hole that it goes through. So you get that to that point. That way your hand sprayer will come out and you'll have maximum use of your hand sprayer. And it's a little cold out here right now, but that'll loosen up and it just hangs underneath the machine. Now this is against the side wall, so it really doesn't create any kind of a problem. Okay, next, once we get the plumbing hooked up, we'll hook up the temperature control device. Into your room you have hot and cold water bibs, hopefully real close to the end of the machine here, maybe on the wall back here or on the side wall right here. From that hot and cold purified water, we hook up the temperature mixing valve. So what happens here is, and these will be in the kit with it, there'll be 2 shorter hoses. These hoses, there's a hot and a cold. You can see the H and the C. The hot hooks onto here, and this will hook up to your hot shut-off valve. 3/8 inch compression is the best to have. This will tighten up, and when you tighten these up, tighten them snug, but don't over tighten them, because you can't over tighten them, and the O-ring rubber ring will actually go down and it'll cause it to leak. So that's the warm side. Cold side, you have the same thing. And depending where these are, you mix these up the way you want to get to your valve. So you got a cold valve, a hot valve. They come together here and create a warm discharge. Also, we have a cold discharge that comes out. This doesn't go through the mixer, and this is what we use to clean the machine and so forth. But for plumbing purposes and for your plumbing inspector, know that this is a one-way valve. This is a check valve. So the cold comes in here, comes down, it cannot come back up in. So that's code in most areas to have a check valve so that it won't anti-siphon. So it won't siphon. So it's an anti-siphon valve. Also in here, right inside of this area right here, on both sides, there's a one-way valve or a check valve. On the cold side and the hot side, if you were to take these big bolts off, you'd see the inside of there, one-way valve. Then that also creates a way that none of the hot or warm water can come back out into the water source. So you may need to know that for your plumbing inspectors if they have a concern about cross-contamination. Now once this is set, and you'll see it's got some brackets on it. What I like to do traditionally is mount a little mounting bracket on the wall right above the hot and cold valves. You'll take these off, screw them on, put the mixing valve back on. That'll hold it firm. These then go down and hook onto your hot and cold sources. And now you've got a cold and a warm instead of a hot and a cold. And that would be close to the machine, generally right up here on the wall, with about 18 inches between the wall and the machine. From the machine, then we attach these hoses to the cold. And again, you need a 5/8 wrench to tighten that up. And to the warm. Now these are closed. These valves are closed at this time. Anytime you have this type of valve, when it's with the flow of water, it's open. When it's across the flow of water, it's closed. So close those valves. This then hooks to the warm side. So this would hook on the bottom of here. This would hook on the cold side. And they do cross over because you're going from one perspective to another. In plumbing, the cold is always on the right. Now, you might want to check and make sure that you're set up that way, that your plumber has the cold on the right side. Otherwise, you'll have to hook them up backwards. So basically, this is the way that will look. This will be sitting on the wall, coming to the machine. Now, to adjust this water, we'll do that in training, but I just want to show you that what you have to do is pop this top off. And it's not the easiest thing to pop off. Okay. So this now becomes a cap or handle. You put it upside down on there. You can see that there's red and blue. So if you turn it towards the red, you're going to get hotter. If you turn towards the blue, you're going to get colder. And we'll teach you how to set the temperature. You'll do it through the machine so that you have a high temperature of no more than 101 degrees that will go into the machine. That way the client will never get too much hot water or too hot of water. So once that's set, and it pretty well stays the same until if the weather changes and it's really, really cold, and you may have to adjust this slightly, because the cold water coming in might be colder. If your hot water heater for some reason changes temperature, somebody turns it up, or whatever, you may need to change it again. But once it's set, it'll stay pretty consistent within about a half a degree. When it's set, take that off, put it back on, and just pop it on. Easy to say. There it is. Popped on. All right. Okay, why don't you go ahead and turn that off, Connor. Alright, also in your bag where the screws were will be the user tube and a hook. Don't put the hook on because it'll get knocked off during shipping. But what you do is just take this out and you can read the instructions. You want to put the hook right here, right in the center of that console, right next to the bottom there. Okay, so that's on there. The user tube just goes on this barb right here, push it on, push it back as far as you can. This end will go up over your hook, and this goes into the discharge chamber. This is open. This is closed. Same principle, crosswise and with the flow. So that's the way that'd be set up. It'd be out of the way of the client when they come in, and that would be the setup there. Take your board. When you're done, wrap it, but I'm not going to wrap this one right now. The board will go in there, and then we have a pad and pillow that sit here, and a knee rest that sits there, and we'll go over those also in the training video. But then it's set up. You have your backrest, your board, your user tube, everything's hooked up, your plumbing's set up, your water's connected. Of course, all of the water that's coming to the unit is purified water that you've run through your Pure Water Plus or something comparable. That should take care of setup. And now we'll put it on pause now, and we'll crate this up so you can see how to uncrate it when you get it. Okay.